And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight. We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like, nobody's able to see them stealth. You guys want to be stealthy tonight. You can be stealth, you'll never lose, right? But these are incredible planes and weapons. We have the best weapons in the world.
We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Energy, the seed corn of all development, all growth, all survival, energy. So energy, transportation, information, and manufacturing, these are the things that change humanity, that will change world power, and they are descending upon us in ways that are very unique. The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here. But I've had the benefit of 33 years of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour. To deliver Wi-Fi from space, where you never need a cell tower to connect. To deliver energy from space, where you never have to plug your phone in, and it trickle charges, and you can use that energy over time. It can be applied to cars, to houses.
We must put America first. This is a nation that invented the light bulb, the telegraph, the television, the telephone, the computer chip, the smartphone, the GPS, the integrated circuit, and even the internet. Basically, we invented everything. What is left? We invented everything. And now it's AI.
Thanks, Alex, for having me on. Right off the bat, biggest revelation since we spoke in November of 2023 is that of the two videos, the MH370 videos, one of them was called satellite video, and we had been assuming that this was taken by satellites. Turns out it's actually something called Gorgon Stare Wide Area Motion Imagery. It's actually a software system that is recorded from drones flying up above. So, for example, I've got my my Malaysian Airlines plane right here. That right there is the Gorgon Stare video. A drone is flying above this plane, circling around, taking pictures, and then they have the software system produces Google Earth video playback. Now, this was 11 years ago that they had that capability, so it's probably a lot more advanced right now, but that's so important because that's the only proof that we need. We can literally just force the government to admit that that's Gorgon Stare Wide Area Motion Imagery.
And remember, not everybody's up on this like you are, so here I'm interrupting.
Sure.
So this was 11 years ago it happened. How long have you been exposing it? And you've been totally vindicated. And just slow down here. You just surmised it was satellite. We always thought that. But now they admit they've got these drones up at high levels constantly. Please continue.
Yeah. So I've been researching this since August of 2023. The plane disappeared in 2014. The videos reemerge in August of 2023, which is when I started to investigate them. And as you said, I've at this point found enough evidence that these videos 100% must be legitimate, even though it seems impossible when we see them. When we look at this, people think we must be looking at aliens. The reality is we're not looking at aliens in these videos. We're looking at United States government technology.
And explain, those are the classic Tic Tacs that everybody sees flying around.
They could be. I mean, they could certainly be confused with them. And what I want to say right off the bat is that we need to wake people up, and I'm really hoping that you and your audience can help with this. People like Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, they need to wake up. Like, I think they know that that the government's hiding things, that they do conspiracies, but they don't realize that the same stuff that's happening in, like, medicine is also happening in physics, is that they're actually hiding underlying physics from us and just hiding it kind of in the open. Where we just
I was about to say, how do you feel the president and his science czar saying everything you said?
It's crazy. Well, listening to that and then people trying to like downplay it. Trump keeps repeating it over and over. We have weapons that nobody understands. I mean, and if you look at those videos, you go, do you think they're going to tell somebody like Elon about that? No way in hell. He doesn't have a need to know about this kind of weaponry, this kind of technology. In fact, I'm not even sure the president needs to know, but I know that Trump has been made aware because of the way he's talking about it. And he's even talking about China potentially catching up in a few years, which should be alarming for people. But I think the reason why Obama did know about this was because he didn't talk about the missing plane until 11 days after it disappeared. And then he only talked about it one other time ever. And then he never spoke about the plane ever again. So either Obama was the one who signed off on that operation, or they told him afterwards because they needed to cover up what happened to it. The other thing I want to say is that I'm going to start naming names. Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer know about this. They know about this situation. I've seen an email that has an internal email that has military intelligence people on it to them explaining that those orbs are ball lightning, also known as plasmoids, toroidal plasmas. And so these guys know about it. They've been briefed about this.
So what is when Trump says we control time and space, as science does, not Tic Tacs, how are they projecting it? Do we know?
Yeah, so toroidal plasma is a shape, basically. It's a donut shape of plasma. It turns out plasma produces its own electromagnetic fields. So given this understanding, with a dense enough plasma, the electromagnetic fields can be self-stabilizing, self-containing. So you can almost imagine like these balls of plasma could really just be spun up, almost the same way where you flick on a lighter. And I think that's what's scary about it. I think that's part of the reason why they don't disclose it, is that unlike all the sophistication associated with producing a nuclear bomb, producing these balls of plasma that can do this might be relatively easy. Inside of that, it's probably like a hypersonic drone. What they did was they took the same spy plane concept where we used to use a plasma sheath in front of our spy planes to reduce the drag, and they turned the plasma sheath into a drone. They turned the turbine engine into a heat exchange. And now you basically just have a tube flying around, a magnetic tube flying around with plasma around it. It's something called magnetohydrodynamics. This is the concept of fluid plasma. But it's an air breathing system, which means that it essentially doesn't need onboard fuel. It can get what it needs from the air, from the environment. This concept of these air breathing magnetohydrodynamics and these plasmas, it goes back several decades. It goes back to, I think, the fusion bomb. Edward Teller, the father of the fusion bomb. I found a paper from 1992 where he's talking about, the name of the paper is called Space Propulsion by Fusion in a Magnetic Dipole. So essentially what they figured out, in my opinion, was in the 60s, we figured out the fusion bomb, and then we never saw the fusion bomb ever again in the 60s.
And explain the fusion bomb. We all hear about hydrogen bombs, atomic bombs. Some know about neutron bombs. What is a fusion bomb?
Yeah, so a thermonuclear weapon is a two-stage device. It is an A-bomb, a nuke, as we would imagine, a big mushroom cloud, that ignites a fusion secondary payload. And and you should actually talk to Dark Journalist. I think you've had him on your show many times. He's, I believe, 100% correct about like the history of this science. Is they were trying to produce a fusion bomb without the A-bomb component to it. So just the fusion aspect of it. And people should wonder, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? The idea behind it is that you're producing a detonation that doesn't have heat, doesn't have neutrons. Most of the reaction that produces heat and deadly radiation comes in the form of neutrons. And they were trying to minimize the neutrons, trying to produce a clean hydrogen bomb. I propose that a clean hydrogen bomb might literally just manipulate time and space. And so if they discovered that, like during Castle Bravo, when they were, or the Ripple projects, when the nukes, they probably just decided this is too dangerous. This is too powerful to be allowed to be known to be public. And I can imagine people in a smoky room decided that, okay, we have to hide everything about this. Because how is this even possible? Like with Castle Bravo, they were trying to detonate, they expected a 6 megaton bomb explosion, detonation, and they got 15, 2.5 times what they were expecting. And what they realized was there must be another source of energy. Where's all that energy coming from? They realized it's coming from the 0 point energy. They realized resonance, trapped resonance, can produce an explosion, a detonation, significantly more powerful than anything prior. And so when they started tweaking these fusion bombs, they started producing them that were 1 million times more powerful than the original A bombs. The thing that you and other people need to get into their jargon, into their lingo, is aneutronic fusion. Aneutronic. So that means no neutrons. So this is a clean fusion reaction. When I started digging into these plasma orbs, there's only one configuration that produces a spherical plasma like that. It's called a field reversed configuration, FRC. There's only a couple companies, fusion companies, that are working on field reversed configurations. One of them is Tri-Alpha Energy, and the other one is Helion Fusion. Now, the trick about these field reversed configurations is they have axial jets coming out of them that can be used as propulsion. And so this is actually a challenge for a standing fusion reactor because you have these jets shooting out of it. But in a ball of plasma that's floating around in the sky, you can use that as propulsion. And that's what Edward Teller in his 1992 paper was talking about. That's what actually the founder of Helion fusion. In the 90s, he was working on plasmoid fusion propulsion. That's what these guys were all working on. And so if people want to know which fusion companies are going to succeed, look at aneutronic fusion, field reverse configuration, and take a real good look at Helion fusion. Their main investors, they got $2 billion in investments over the last few years. Sam Altman of OpenAI and Peter Thiel of Mithril Capital. Why are those people connected to, they're connected to the CIA, all these governments. Why are they investing all this money in these companies? Because they know it works. And what you're looking at right here on the screen, that is a plasmoid. What happens is it spirals around and produces this plasma shape, and you can see these axial jets coming out of either side. That's what they're using for propulsion. So when we see these orbs flying around in the sky, we shouldn't be assuming that they're aliens, although maybe the aliens have this technology, I don't know. But we definitely have this technology, and it will just look like a ball of light floating around.
Well, that's the big question from all your research and all your sources. Did we get this from aliens, or are we getting it from mathematics and producing it?
Well, humans definitely have produced this. One of my good friends is now U.S. Navy engineer Salvatore Pais. He has 5, they call them the UFO patents. But I've talked to him extensively, and he's sure, just like you said, that these equations go back to the 1900s and before. They go back to the time of Tesla. We've had plenty of time to understand how to manipulate space-time. In fact, it was Einstein that said we would find gravitational waves, and we did.
He did, and again, he wasn't even really religious, didn't believe in God until he saw it and said, oh, my God, this is a sign. So, but again, back to this, and I want you to continue, please. Mm-hmm. How big is it to have Trump and the science czar say we control time and space? I mean, they're getting us ready for something, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, truthfully, I'm a little bit worried about it because I look at this technology as the end of the world, potentially, if we don't, get our act right.
I totally agree. This is godlike power.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, teleportation, free energy, that's what we're talking about here. Even Lockheed Martin built a compact fusion reactor. It went dark in 2018. If people want disclosure, I've got receipts for days. Go talk to Charles Chase, former Lockheed Martin senior fellow engineer at the Skunk Works. He built a compact fusion reactor for them based on field reverse configuration, exactly what you're seeing right here. Went dark in 2018. We've never heard anything about it since. Lockheed Martin gets 97% of their funding from the federal government. I think people are recently floating the idea that Lockheed Martin should be nationalized. I mean, they absolutely should be if they have this level of technology.
But it already is.
Too far advanced.
It already is.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, it kind of is. And so I think my opinion is that they figured out the magic in the 2000s. A physicist named Eric W. Davis has been testifying with, talking to Anna Paulina Luna on these UFO hearings, which, by the way, are going to do nothing. But he wrote a paper called Teleportation Physics Study for the Air Force. And General Lanny, commander of the Air Force Research Labs, held that paper up and said, this is an example of the work I want done in my laboratories. That was back in the 2000s.
Well, let's talk about that. I totally agree. Anna Paulina Luna means well. She's smart. She's doing a great job. Has courage. But there's no discussion about advanced secret technology. It's like, what are these things? We don't know. They'll have these fake whistleblowers in, and they'll, you can see there's not a real discussion happening.
No, and you should ask them, what's the energy source? What's your little UFO that's flying around, that can teleport, that can float? What's the energy source for that? It takes this huge amount of energy. It has to be fusion. It literally has to be fusion. And we're going to find out it's aneutronic fusion. And the reason why they can't talk about that is because it's national security. Same reason why they can't talk about the MH370 videos. That is a weapon. That is an energy source. And yes, it could be infinite energy for humanity, but it could also be instantaneous, annihilation for our entire planet with just the push of a button. And so we need to be having the conversation about national security and where is the line between when you have technology that you've developed for the military that could change all of civilization in an instant, because they've been stealing our future from us for probably, like you said, 80 years or more. And now I think they're at the point where they've been lying for so long that even if they were to tell the truth now, they're afraid of the consequences of how much they've been lying about it.
Every guest we've interviewed in studio, I've given our ultramethylene blue to, and they've all been blown away. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't hype. All our supplements are great and have amazing health effects, but this one hits 99% of people within 30 minutes, and the long-term effects are even more amazing. So secure your ultramethylene blue now, the most powerful you can get on the market, at thealexstore.com, and fund the tip of the spear in the fight for liberty and supercharge your own personal life. Believe me, if you don't take action and get it, you will never know how amazing it is. Over 99% of people have had incredible effects. You owe it to yourself right now to try ultramethylene blue, exclusively available at thealexstore.com.